He went into the forest thinking it would be a nice little retreat into nature. But instead, he got horrifying noises that chased him all night. These are 6 most chilling forest encounters, and you won't believe what happened in the first one, so stick to the end. Bear attack in a tent. Let's start with the most terrifying of them all. This is a solo camper who had a peaceful night in the forest, but it turned into a fight for survival as soon as he woke up. A bear decided that his tent looked interesting. The footage that was uploaded on YouTube was with the simple description, "It was scary. A bear attacked my tent in the forest when I was camping alone." It captured one of the most primal fears any outdoor enthusiast can ever face. The video begins with a man waking up to strong winds that are literally battering his tent and causing a lot of noise outside. After he cautiously unzipped the entrance to check the weather and how everything outside was, he was met with a sight that would make anyone cry for help. He met a massive bear that was sitting just outside his tent, staring directly at him. The guy immediately slammed the tent closed, but the encounter was far from over. He was hoping that the bear would go away, but what happened next was absolutely terrifying. The bear began circling the tent, growling and grunting from all sides. You can hear the panic in the camper's breathing as the animal tries to scratch through the fabric and pull it towards itself. However, its claws are slipping on the synthetic material. At one point, the bear even attempted to pull the tent down entirely, yanking on the guy lines and poles. In the desperate attempt to scare the animal away, the man began making his own loud roaring sounds, screaming at the top of his lungs. This encounter was a raw and primal response to a classic human versus nature case. It was only separated by a thin layer of nylon. The audio alone is enough to send chills down your spine. After what must have felt like an eternity for the camper, the bear finally lost interest and wandered away. When the man eventually gets the courage to go outside his camp, his breathing is already messed up and super unstable. Without hesitation, he packed up his gear and fled the campsite. The lesson here was clear. Camping alone in bear country is a gamble that could get you killed in seconds. Ghost figure in the Alberta Rockies. Next up is a particularly disturbing case that will shock you even more. A family camping trip in the Alberta Rockies became the stuff of a nightmare when a motion-activated camera captured something that we still can't explain to this day. Something was moving around their campsite in the dead of the night. The footage, which is time-stamped in the original video at around 2100, shows a very strange, ghost-like figure that appears in the camera view. This shape comes quite close to the camera, almost like it is looking straight into the camp, seemingly observing the sleeping family before vanishing. When the camper reviewed the footage the next morning, he had no explanation about what he was seeing, but the comment section of the video provided a lot more disturbing interpretations. This is when a former military member and law enforcement officer with 23 years of experience offered a chilling analysis. He said that this wasn't a ghost or paranormal activity. It was a human being who was wearing an infrared suit with off-the-shelf night goggles, deliberately stalking the campsite. According to that expert, the intruder was likely casing the camp, looking for firearms or other valuable items that people sometimes leave in unlocked vehicles or even out in the open. What is even more unsettling is that this person probably would have watched the family for the whole part of the day, tracking their movements and waiting for darkness to investigate. It's not bears or wolves or Bigfoot that we need to worry about, but it's the humans themselves. There are plenty of cases where people meet their end in the backcountry at the hands of criminal gangs and road killers that roam around at night. This is one of those incidents that gives us a lesson that we shouldn't always be armed in the forest and never leave our firearms outside, because at any moment you can be robbed. Voices from Aokigahara. You might have heard about the forest of Aokigahara in Japan, which is located at the base of Mount Fuji. It is also known as the suicide forest due to the tragic number of people who have taken their lives there. Even if you go there today, you will see that a lot. Even if you camp there at night, you will see that there are voices coming from all across the place, people just dying. A YouTuber explored this haunting location and captured an audio that would defy any rational explanation. In the footage, a woman's voice can be heard, following the explorer, reportedly telling him to help her. The footsteps were trailing behind him and were quite audible. Yet when he turned around, nobody was even there. In the second clip that was uploaded later, strange noises and additional unexplained sounds can be heard throughout the dense forest. When viewers analyzed the footage, they identified what paranormal investigators called a Class A EVP, which is electronic voice phenomenon. It is a crystal-clear captured voice with no identifiable living source. At around 1:56, you can distinctly hear a faint, desperate voice saying, "Help me." This audio is chilling because of the clarity and desperation in the tone. Whether you believe it is paranormal or not, the psychological rate on the YouTuber was real. Here, hundreds of people have died in despair, and it's quite overwhelming to think so. If it were another person, they might have fainted just by the sheer thought of getting chased by a desperate woman. Enjoying the video so far? Subscribe now because we're going to unfold the craziest mysteries from around the world. Masked stalkers in New Zealand.
That their laughter was more out of nervousness, and they were actually pretty scared by the whole thing. Even more unsettling. When they watched the footage later, they realized the couple appeared to be armed. In some of the clips, it looked like one of them was holding a gun. As soon as the couple got too close.
In January 2015, a group of film students from New Zealand was recording footage just outside their school near Auckland's Parnell railway station. It was just a quick hangout with friends, but that turned into a terrifying encounter that would involve things like police helicopters and even an armed response unit. Student Chris Meir was filming with his friends when they noticed something disturbing. There was a woman and a man wearing creepy white masks hiding in the tall grass next to the station, staring directly at their camera. At first, the group assumed that it was just fellow students playing a prank on them. The laughter masked was genuine fear, and when they reviewed the footage later, they realized something far more sinister. The point: the masked couple was armed with several clips. One of them seemed to be holding a gun, and as the couple began moving closer, the students fled back to the main road. Shortly after, a police helicopter appeared overhead, and the masked couple had been terrorizing people all week. They even frightened a woman at Auckland's Domain Park, but escaped right before the police arrived. The police emphasized that if someone appeared to be carrying a gun, the officer couldn't determine if it was fake or real and would have to treat it as a genuine threat. Eventually, the suspects did come forward, but police never publicly revealed their identity, which makes the whole case even scarier. When people online accused the student of staging the incident for detention, school officials confirmed that the masked people had no connection to the institution. Creepy lady caught on camera. Sometimes we see footage that is quite underrated on the internet, yet no one is covering it in any of the videos that compile the list of encounters like this. In this particular video, two men were setting up camp on a remote forest road and were casually recording their preparation. They were likely inflating a tent or the air mattress when one of the guys saw something in the camera that would send chills down their spine. What appeared to be a simple camping trip documentation turned into footage of an unexplainable encounter. As one man films while the other man works on the equipment, the cameraman suddenly notices there was movement in the distance, down in the plains below their position, which is partially visible. A figure manifests. It was just a head at first that was moving steadily from right to left across the field of vision. The figure is an elderly woman who was walking alone through an area where you wouldn't expect to even find anyone, let alone a solitary older person. There's no visible trail where she was walking to a lower destination. The thing that makes it even more eerie is that there was not even any logical reason for her to be there. Her movement is quite deliberate, as she knows exactly where she is going, despite the rough path. The thing that makes the footage even more chilling is the woman's behavior. She seems to be circling their position, not approaching them directly, not walking away, but moving in a pattern around the campsite as if she were surveying them from a distance without looking at them closely. The man's reaction suggests that the man's reaction was nothing. They simply recorded and then uploaded it on the internet. The video also offers no answers. The woman never acknowledged the camera, never changed the pace, and eventually disappeared from the camera as she continued her circular path. What do you think was her motive? Let us know in the comments below. The Appalachian Trail Stalker.
A very long note.
Finally, we are at the most disturbing case on our list. This encounter will send chills down your spine, so subscribe to the channel now. YouTuber Phil, who runs the channel named Hike Swam, uploaded a video that might be the most disturbing forest encounter ever recorded. On the night before Thanksgiving of 2021, he went on an overnight hike to camp on the Appalachian Trail near his Virginia home. The first hour seemed normal, but then he encountered odd trash on the trail. It was a plastic container covered in handwritten song lyrics and disturbing text. As it crossed into the wilderness area, things got even stranger. He discovered a series of disturbing notes and cryptic text, while there were also conspiracy theories about federal agents and their biological fragments from an unknown author. That's where the YouTuber fell into panic. He was staying as far as possible and he continued to shelter in the trail. There he encountered two women with a dog who asked if he had seen the person leaving creepy notes and a dead animal. He did mention the nearby campsite and fire. The two women became so frightened and asked him to escort them back to their car. Phil agreed and then hiked in a different direction to find a safer place. When he reached his new shelter and checked the camp log, which is a tradition where hikers write their trail names, he thought he found something very disturbing. It was handwriting in the log and was identical to the handwriting on the notes and the trash that he had found. One entry read, "Think grave robbery in an attempt to obscure the reality. The dead do walk and talk." He was getting more and more disturbed. That night he tried to fall asleep, and that's where he heard movement near his shelter. He was peeking out of his tent where he saw a single person with a headlamp walking around the area. Phil then quietly packed up in the middle of the night and hiked back to his truck in the darkness, constantly checking over his shoulder. He made it home safely, but the identity of the person who was leaving those disturbing notes with dead animals and cryptic warnings still remains unknown to this day. And that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed these 6 moments and genuinely terrified you, then subscribe to the channel right now and ring the bell icon, because we are about to cover a lot more crazy occurrences in our simple world.